Okay, well, we're actually loading a game. We're actually loading a game real time, and this the game that we're actually loading. Well, if you looked at the title of this video, you might actually know, but it's actually Buggy Boy, and I've just pressed run stop and. WHDload appeared, and now this countdown, this 30-second countdown. After this countdown, the loading screen will be displayed, and the game is actually loaded in. Yeah, now it's time for the loading screen to appear, and now some sort of fast loading routine with the famous color bars will be displayed. Now, Buggy Boy is a very interesting game. It's a port of an arcade game, and the original arcade game actually consists of 3 monitors. There's also a 2-screen or a single screen game. And it's just an amazing port, because this port is actually very well done. But what is Buggy Boy? It's an off-road arcade racer. Tsutsumi have developed this originally, and Taito released it on the Commodore 64. Also the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC, Amiga, and Atari ST. Especially the Amiga and Atari ST versions are actually very well done as well. I think the Amiga version is actually the best, followed by the Commodore 64. But actually I prefer the Commodore 64 version. There's 4 tracks, or 5 courses actually, off-road, north, south, east and west. And you have to complete these courses in the shortest time possible. All the courses have 5 legs, and they're filled with obstacles. I mean, you wouldn't believe that it is actually an official racing course, because it's littered with soccer balls, brick walls, boulders, fences. Driving through the gates will actually give you points. Also, when you collect flags, kicking the football that's on there. So yeah, oh yeah, and there's also logs. If you hit a log, sometimes you get lift up in the air, and you can jump over obstacles and stuff. Mind you, it's best not to land in the water, because the Buggy Boy is no boat. Yeah, 1985, the original arcade game was released. Of course, it was a bit later, 1987, when it was brought to the Commodore 64. I really like the cockpit 3-screen version. It's a very wide screen, but there's also an upright game, and that actually works quite well as well. That actually looks very similar to the Amiga and Atari ST versions. Back in the day in Zap 64, it actually got a gold medal, and it received a 97% score. So it's one of the best, best arcade ports out there. Yeah, I think loading actually has finished. So almost finished, just in time for me to actually show you a bit of the gameplay. Yeah, a very decent port, and it's very responsive and very quick. I'm not sure if this actually will run on American systems. I believe so, because the timing was actually performed or programmed in a very decent way, so it actually probably will run on both variants of the Commodore 64. Now, as you can see, loading in from tape is really something that we in Europe had to work with. The C2N dataset was actually the preferred way of loading in games, contrary to the States, the US and Canada, where the floppy drive, the 1541 floppy drive for the Commodore 64, was actually the way to go. And here we are, we've loaded, so let's press stop on the tape deck. And yeah, let's press fire and just go for the off-road. Now you move the stick forward to drive, and you press the fire button to switch between the gears. And as you can see, the way the little buggy moves is actually quite fast. Now the drone of the engine is actually quite grating. There's no music. And I remember back in the day actually getting a demo tape with this on it, and it was just this track, and I just played this a ton. Get that time? Yep. I'm not sure if I got it actually. Whoa, yeah. It's very tough. You really, if you're playing this with a SUSE arcade stick, it's actually the best. Just with very small clicks on the oh yeah, I could have gotten some extra time. But it's a very tough game, and actually talking and playing this at the same time, well, you see, let's do it again. Let's do it again. So I just even didn't complete a single track. Actually, I remember well back in the day when I was playing this game on my original Commodore 64. That was actually the time when my video RAM gave out. And I got all these crazy colored blocks on the screen. Yeah, that was a sure indication. At first I thought the tape or the program was malfunctioning, but it actually happened in a lot of other systems as well. So this actually was the game that killed my Commodore 64. Well, I got it repaired, so. Oh yeah, it's very tough to get that time thing. Probably will not be able to get it. I might, no. I mean, I've been known to play this quite a bit better. I'm actually better at the Amiga version. But yeah, for an 8-bit system, this actually is not a bad port. You know what? It might actually be a good idea to take a look at the Amiga version, the ZX Spectrum version as well. So let's try to do that. Okay, yeah, I'm able to select the different tracks, but let's go off-road. This is running on a Spectrum 3 Plus. Now, as you can see, I find the whole perspective thing and the way that the screen is actually moving up and down, I find actually very, very how do you say that? Amazing. It's running slow, but I mean what they've done with it graphically is just. Oh, and your buggy does explode the moment you hit an obstacle. Let me see if I can. But it's much slower than the Commodore 64 version. Let's see if I can. And I forgot to shift, but I think graphically this is actually quite an amazing game. Oh, that actually was the water. But it's like playing this in slow motion. And the buggy is so large that, I mean, they should have made it a bit smaller and perhaps. Oh, I almost made a lap, but yeah, not a bad port. I think it's quite an amazing port, but a bit too slow. You know, the Commodore 64 version is actually quite speedy. Now here we have the WHDload version running on the Amiga 1200. Sadly, this actually runs a bit too fast, but it gives you an idea of how good the game actually is on the Amiga. Basically, the controls are very similar. You just move your joystick forward and then just... But the way the system scales, and you, yeah, this runs way too fast. And you can also see that the counter is actually counting down. Whoops, way too fast. I think the CPU speed is actually set too fast in this, and using an accelerator card doesn't help either. Whoa, bloody hell! But this should play great on an Amiga 500 or 600. But this gives you a, I mean, it's running way too fast, but this does give you a gist of what it looks like on the Amiga. Yeah, this is the this is playing on Mame, and you'll see how well it actually, how similar it is to the now it uses a steering wheel, and of course this is just an amazing game. I mean, the speed, the sense of speed with this system is just amazing. Whoa! Now, of course, this is the best version, and I always have very much trouble navigating the. Oh, it does. You do tend to skid out of the way. Whoa! But at least your cart doesn't explode the moment you. Oh, I just. Wow! And there's opponents even, something that you do encounter those in the Commodore 64 version. Whoa! Yeah, I got some time. Now, with each lap, additional obstacles are introduced on the course. Oh, bloody hell! I don't think I'll be able to. A bit of extra time, perhaps. No. Well, you know, that's what the that's what the arcade version looks like. So yeah, great game, great game. A must have, I say. I mean, if I were to ever own arcade cabinets, it would be the Buggy Boy arcade cabinet, as well as the Outrun 2 arcade cabinet, and perhaps the Space Harrier cabinet, and the Miss Pac-Man cabinet, and the Time Pilot cabinet, and well, you know, Gyrus. Oh my God, I'm lost. Anyways, Mark signing off. I'll be back with another video soon.